I think there are YouTubers I've spent more time listening to than some actual people in my life. And that's really true to me, which sounds kind of insane when you're saying it out loud, but I don't even think it's unusual anymore. And I'm sure some of you have experienced the same thing. I watch a lot of YouTube, like an unhealthy amount of YouTube, probably more than TV, more than anything else. And it's just always on in the background, like throughout the day, throughout my life, while I'm working, while I'm doing random stuff, while I'm sitting there listening to music even, I'll have YouTube on. And at some point, I started noticing something kind of weird. I feel like I know these people. Not, of course, in I've met them in real life kind of way, but in some type of familiar way. Like I can predict what they're going to say, how they're going to react to things, and even what kind of mood they're in. And my favorite is like seeing something and saying, oh my God, I can't wait for someone to cover this. I know the exact YouTuber that I want to cover this, and I can't wait to hear their take. And that's when it hit me. That's probably not normal. This is my first YouTube video ever, which kind of feels like really fitting. Really fitting because I'm coming from this perspective of a viewer before a content creator, if that makes any sense. I'm not sitting here as an expert in any way. I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm mostly just someone who consumes a lot of YouTube, like I said, probably more than anyone should. And I think that's the point. A lot of people aren't just watching YouTube anymore. It's become part of their daily life. Because the difference with YouTube compared to traditional media is how personal it feels. Creators talk like they're talking directly to you, like they're in your living room. Like they're on the phone with you, not at a crowd, not at an audience, just you there. Even streamers, especially streamers, you can sit there and listen to someone talk casually for hours about their day, their opinions, random stories, whatever they're thinking about. And over time, your brain kind of starts treating that as familiar. Like, yeah, I know this person. Oh, I recognize this person. Oh, that's Joe Bart. Even though realistically, you have no idea who they are and they have no idea you exist. And your brain doesn't really stay neutral about that. It starts filling in the gaps. You see enough clips, enough videos, enough moments, and suddenly your mind starts building a version of this person. Their personality, their habits, even how you think they would act outside of what you see on the screen. Not in a weird, obsessive way. I'm just talking about a very normal human pattern recognition way. Actually, a psychological concept for this. It's called the mere exposure effect. When the more you're exposed to something, the more you hear something, the more familiar it is, and even more trustworthy it starts to feel. Even if you never actually interacted with this person or thing or object in real life, which is kind of wild when you think about it. And there's also something just kind of real about the internet that people don't always talk about. People are weird online, and that's true. I don't mean in some extreme way. Of course, there's those circumstances. I'm not trying to judge anyone specifically. It's more of just a fact. People are weird behind screens. They behave differently. Everyone knows that. People say things online that they would never say in real life. Keyboard warrior type of energy, Twitter fingers type of energy. I've spent enough time online to actually see that for myself and know that's part of the environment. But it also plays a role into this parasocial thing too, because when you're constantly interacting with content, opinions, comments, communities, creators, it becomes very easy for people to build strong assumptions about other people that they don't actually know. Sometimes positive and sometimes not, And that's part of why I like the idea of becoming or being a faceless channel. Not because I'm trying to hide or anything dramatic like that. It's just, I think there's value in separating myself, my identity from my expression. Because online, I'm here to express myself. And people are going to fill in the blanks, whether you want them to or not. They're going to build a version of you in their head based on a few ideas, a few videos, a few opinions, and a couple moments that they've seen of your life. And that's fine. But in reality, that version isn't you. It's just a reflection of what they've seen and what they assumed and what you have curated and created. And there are some real examples of how strange it can get. Like, there are creators who built entire audiences around a simple content, like outdoor videos, lifestyle content, documenting their lives through vlogging, and a lot of viewers that become something really comforting and a part of their routine, something you can just throw on and watch and start to, get absorbed in. But there have been cases, and if you've been online, you know a few, where creators step away from the internet after realizing how hard it is to separate online attention from reality. People recognizing them, approaching them on the streets, and feeling like they already know who they are because they've been watching them. And it kind of shows how quickly that line can blur between someone just sitting here making videos and someone becoming a familiar person in someone else's lives, daily lives. And I think that's where it becomes interesting. Because as a viewer, you're building familiarity with someone you don't actually know. But as a creator, you're aware that people are building a version of you in their head. And it's a weird balance. Do you pretend to be that person, or do you show your humanity? Do people want to know who you actually are, or do they want to hear the ideas that align with what they believe? Because part of making content is wanting connection. You want people to enjoy. You want people to relate. You want people to come back. You want people to click. And there's also a responsibility in understanding that what people are seeing is only a slice of you, not the full picture. And it's something you should advertise and you should mention. And if that gets misunderstood too much, there's something that can get really, really weird. Not necessarily dangerous, just really misaligned, especially when controversies hit the algorithm, right? And it seems like you're not the individual that they believed or the individual that you projected, There's even creators that talked about how strange it feels when people approach them publicly, like they already have a relationship with them. Not in a bad way necessarily, just uncomfortable. Because from the creator side, you're just a person making videos and putting your opinions out there. But from the viewer side, you've been part of a routine for months or for years. And those two realities don't always match perfectly. And there's a lot of nuance in between. And I think that's the part that's the most interesting, because I'm not just watching this anymore. I'm stepping into it. I'm curious about what that balance looks like over time for myself. How you create something that feels so personal, so human, without becoming something that exists in someone else's head in a way that you never intended. Being someone's background voice, but not creating expectations that you have to live by. And yeah, I'm probably going to be a faceless channel, not because I think anything dramatic is going to happen, just because I think it's kind of nice to be a foot away, just because it's kind of nice to keep a boundary between the person talking on this mic and the person existing in real life who's flawed, who has a lot of things she wants to work on. Plus, I'll be honest, the internet is already chaotic enough without me adding my face into the mix. I'd rather people try to connect with my thoughts, what I think, my opinions, than try to map it onto a physical identity or person. Also, I'm probably not going to wake up and become a big content creator anyways. So hello to my 12 viewers, and probably like 4 because 8 of them is checking if the audio sounds okay. But even on a small scale, it's important, because even on this small scale, this whole system still works the same way. People still build routines around voices, around creators, around content, even if it's just background noise while you're doing something else, you know? Anyways, I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share my opinion and start somewhere, and I thought this was pretty fitting. Well, I look forward to making more videos, and I look forward to stepping into this world. Thank you for tuning in, and look forward to the next one. Take care.